Hello, everyone. Thank you all here at this time and space where we extend to one another, sharing our minds, transcending the time and space. I like to begin my sharing with a quote by physicist Fritjof Capra. He said, "Spiritual experience is an experience of aliveness of mind and body as a unity. Moreover, this experience of unity transcends not only the separation of mind and body, but also the separation of self and world. The central awareness in these spiritual moments is a profound sense of oneness with all, a sense of belonging to the universe as a whole. If music is an essential and experiential medium of worship, praise to the God and His Son, and it keeps Christianity alive in the daily lives of its followers, how can a Christian performing musician, instrumental musician without lyrics in particular, palpably experience Christian spirituality? Further, what does such spiritual experience have to do with one's inner capacity for music and self? June Boyce Tillman, in her recent book, Experiencing Music, Restoring the Spiritual, published in 2016, said, "When we see music as experiential rather than dogmatic, the spiritual, the essence of music, is restored." Her such notion gives a significance that it challenges these seemingly conflicting elements. The experiential and the spiritual are in fact interdependent on one another, shaping holistic music. Music is the art of sound. Performing musical arts, more than any other musical experience, necessitates delicate, skilled movements as the performer is a first-hand creator of living sounds. Despite its profound physical property, however, compositional text-based abstract musicality has long dominated way of understanding music, under which the performing body has been relegated to a static object, ostensibly fitted with what we often call instrumental techniques. What has been overlooked in this paradigm is the significance of the human's living body intertwined with mind as a living creature itself with a pre-existing logic that can only be fully comprehended and completed solely by our corporeal actions and sensibilities. This issue, I extrapolate at large, is a part of the mind-body dualism rooted in Western culture, yielding such implication of high musical mind, low bodily technique in the tradition of performing musical arts and its pedagogy, at the expense of the static, unconsciously habitual performing body. Its sacrificial result is the breakage of not only the mind-body, but also self and music, with the failure of lifelong transformation and growth towards the music's originality or essence of music. I was also one in the crisis of the fragmented, inhibited self until when I re-met Miss Lim during my practice for master's degree audition back in 2008. Despite the very diligent daily practices with a fear of potential mistakes, I couldn't make myself feel or get any better at the piece, while I was confident in what we call grand pieces, such as the Dvorak Cello Concerto and Prokofiev's Sinfonia Concertante. My cello playing felt plateau in the seemingly end realm that humans possibly can reach. One day among many days, when I was practicing the Bach with that continued fear, I coincidentally encountered Miss Lim and got a chance to play the Bach suite for her. After my sound of music ended, she said, "Roll your shoulder down and put your armpit weight onto the cello and try the piece again." In the brief moment with her, although I did not know it was just the beginning of my entire transformation, at least at the moment, I felt as if my entire body turns into the sound itself. The sound itself going through my whole body as if itself were breath like transparent and genuine air that can hold and emanate my true musical imagination. Myself no longer imposed on sound, rather it was as if myself was originally an integral part of the sound. The profound corporeal involvement into cultivating sounds, indeed, was a process of reforming my musical self as a musical artistic whole, not merely of better playing with improved body awareness. At the moment when myself merged into the sound, the subject I and the object music, for example, I play music, soon disappeared, and only the sound, the sole presence of music, spoke for itself. This transformative experience came to my realization that the degree of experiential understanding of the body by reawakening and cultivating bodily internal paths or movements does block or access to the inherent experiential logic of the performing body. It had a direct impact on the sound being crafted. Her approach as a teacher awakened my most grounded, unconscious, habitual body's dead blocks, my hidden possibilities within, in other words. It meant I would have to deny and renew my entire musical being that had been built upon a decade, requiring an excessively rigorous self-reflexivity of sensing the motility of my internal body when I play. My left fingers had been trained to articulate each note as pronounced as possible. My bow arm had been taught to react to a robust musical piece with a big motion. In hindsight, such blind action of performance inhibited the internal space of the body from its natural principle. As a result, it became static in its limited space in which the natural relationship between mind, body, and self-music are broken. It reversely indicated that in musical performance, the performer self can be internally regenerated through embodying the instrumental skilled movements into the bodily coordination system inherently designed. It is also the integral way of restoring the nature of music that is experiential, embodying, and thus spiritual. As in this status, the embodied self and music become no more separated individuals, but rather merged or integrated as a whole. The true sense or fullest sense of holistic musical performance has to do with restoring the originality of music that is experiential and spiritual. I redefine the self as capacity self, as the self is a transformative agent that restores such sheer nature of music with the embodied performing body. Thus, restoring the music capacity is, in other words, regenerating the self from fragmented to whole, closed to open, static to malleable, inhibited to liberated. And this is the journey from self-awareness to selflessness. Such transformation is a musical pilgrimage towards what I call the malleable inner self, or a sacred space within, the agent of the restored mind-body unity, further self-music unity. Moore, in his book, The Archetype of Initiation, Sacred Space, Ritual Process, and Transformation said, initiation really refers to something that is part and parcel of the universal spiritual journey, the pilgrimage of human life. Initiation is the process of dying and reborn. This archetype is so powerful in human life that it turns up in all parts of human experience. And once you have the eyes to see it, a lot of things that you have wondered about will begin to fall into place. This infinite inner space in which music speaks for itself does tangibly live up the pure freedom beyond one's imagination. Freedom in that sense is not just the abstract nor ideal concept in performing music. It is the realistic and tangible yet transcendent experience realized through the natural unity embedded in our body-mind. The natural law and its beauty in our body-mind are pre-designed to let music speak itself. When we acknowledge and respect them, we can turn the old dualistic compartmental self into the primordial soul unity. The Bible emphasizes that the loss of self enables us to become more intrinsic and permanent power of living, saying, "For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it." Luke chapter 9, verse 24. The musical subject must be the music itself, not the musician. The musician must not be dominant nor colonizing subject, but be the conducive facilitator, following the natural unity of mind body for the music to speak itself. In that sense, musician self ego must go away for music to speak for itself. That is when the internal musical space becomes infinite, leading into sacred space as if oneself were not to exist anymore. Surrendering oneself ironically does not result in emptiness, but rather infinite possibilities. That is where the sacred space within begins. I like to end my sharing with Miss Lim's quote. Here it is. I was walking in the soul dark tunnel, shivering with a fear that I would die once I stopped walking. I felt completely free from yoke as if I had the exodus from the Egypt. Once I finally was able to emanate the sheer sound that I had been ever yearning for, the aim was not playing cello better, but it was one sound that flows through my mind. There's the ultimate level of understanding regardless of what you do, whether you play cello or go to med school. I realized far beyond playing cello as I devoted my entire life to wrestling with my problem to the end. If you realize the care of the God, the principle of the universe, you will blossom seeds and flowers. My journey was the process of discovering God's way of understanding and conducting the world. If I didn't initiate my journey to find a sound, I would never fully have understood God's words this deeply. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me." Matthew verse 16, chapter 16, verse 24. Without Jesus, you can never be close to God. Everything is up to Jesus, no matter what. It's like, in order for one life to die, 70 trillion cells need to be died. Once the heart stops beating, the trillion cells also gradually die. I am happy that long-standing entanglement over a few decades is now liberated. I am happy that a 30-meter root that is good and firm has grown out. The music that is close to nature was my lifetime pursuit. I grew with my past. Practice that tortured me most now saves me. My life, I feel, is far lighter and better. I'm not the greatest musician, but the one who became able to make a sound from the whole body. Because my body is thoroughly open, it's vulnerable in a way. Yet, I believe this is the way to become more humanized. Music needs to be musical. Human needs to be humane. Thank you.